Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming to the channel. Today I have a very special guest, Dennis Autry of Senior. And although I could do a big long intro, anytime I do an interview, I feel it's best for the person I'm interviewing to go ahead and tell us a little bit about themselves and what exactly their business does. So Dennis, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and Senior Care Associates?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Dennis Autry. I'm with Senior Care Associates. Our office is located here in Sandy, Utah, and we've been in business for a little over 15 years. Our main goal is to help wartime veterans, also their spouses and surviving spouse, obtain some additional money from the VA. And through this program, it's called Aid in Attendance. We get 100% approvals. We manage your claim until they pass. And so this is a great thing if you're 65 and older. If you served active duty during wartime, then there's additional money that could go directly into your bank account that'll help cover your care expenses, whether it's at home, independent living, assisted living / memory care. So it's a wonderful thing. It's not well known, and a lot of people are a little leery of that, but it's been around since 1952. President Eisenhower put this in place. So it's a great program that can really help a lot of our aging wartime seniors. So
That's awesome. And I think you mentioned there, and this is the question I get a lot, and I know you and I have talked about it, is that the surviving spouse can actually get this benefit because that happens a lot, especially for our World War II and Korean veterans. You know, most of the
yeah,
time when they passed, they left a wife as a survivor.
yeah, most people are not aware that because maybe their husband served active duty, maybe during World War II, Korea, that there's nothing really available to the spouse. But President Eisenhower, he had the foresight to see that this would be a needed thing for our aging spouses and the widows as well. And so he included them in this pension. Now, bear in mind, a veteran, he's eligible for $2,229 a month, which is tax free. For instance, a surviving spouse, the widow, is eligible for $1,432 a month. So it's still significant. It can make the difference between maybe hiring additional care to come into the home or having some extra money maybe to move into assisted living, which is very expensive nowadays. So
Yeah, and that's how we've gotten to know each other is to help fund these moves into assisted living or memory care. I want to revisit that. What types of housing is this available for? Because, we're going to have people that come
sure.
to this video in the future and they're going to have all kinds of housing options. And that's probably a pretty common question.
Very common. So the first option would be a lot of people, they want to stay in their own home, which is totally understandable. They probably lived there a long time. They have friends in the community. They're comfortable where they live. Everything is familiar to them. And I totally understand that. And sometimes that is a good decision to stay in your home. You can also have family coming in, children coming in to keep an eye on you. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be bedridden in your home to get this. It could be where maybe you're not driving anymore. Maybe they need to help take you to the doctor's appointments or shopping. Maybe they're helping in your home with some cleaning, or maybe they're reminding you to take your medications. It can also be a combination of family, and maybe you hire a caregiver to come in because maybe the family is a little uncomfortable with maybe incontinence care or maybe bathing. So they maybe hire a home care agency to come into the home and handle those sorts of things. And so that is definitely one option of staying at home. The other option would be independent living, which would be an independent living community. It's a building, it's strictly independent living. It's not medically based. It's where you're renting an apartment. They're providing 3 meals a day, transportation, and they're keeping an eye on you 24/7. And so that's called custodial care, non-medically based. The other option would be assisted living, which is a higher cost because it is medically based. That is more like bathing, light incontinence care, medication management, things of that sort. They have a nurse on staff and they have CNAs on staff. Memory care would be more expensive than assisted living because it's a higher level of care. And again, they have more people on staff in the memory care because of the severity of the memory issues. So those are the main 4 areas where you could use this pension to cover those expenses.
That's wonderful. I think one of the things that you hit on that's really, really important is the fact that they could stay in the home. Now, it depends on a few different
Right.
things, it sounds like. Could you go into a bit more detail about how they would get it if they stayed in their current residence, the family
Yeah,
home?
absolutely. So I'm going to use myself as an example. My mom, she lived in California. I got the call that she could not be by herself anymore. I usually see her a couple times a year, but not enough to really see what was really happening. Her memory was going bad. She used the cane. She needed help with some things, but I didn't realize the severity of it until I went to visit her, and we decided to have her move from California to move with us in our home in Utah. And as she stayed with us the first week or two, I really noticed some things going on. She wasn't managing her medications correctly. So we had to set up a med set, and we managed that for her. She hadn't been really bathing that often. So my wife, Carol, handled that. She wasn't driving anymore. So we were taking her to her doctor's appointments, podiatrist appointments, whatever she needed help with. We provided meals for her. Had my daughter come in during the day while we're at work, and she would check in on her, get her lunch, make sure she'd taken her meds, and also had a neighbor come in. So when we do that, what we do to make this work at the VA is we put a care plan together. A care plan is just basically documenting what care needs to be provided in the home. And that can be a family member. If it's a family member, we put a care contract together and make it work that way. But definitely, I'd say 40% of the claims that we file for are for people that are staying in their homes. Majority of them have children caring for them, and that's when we put the care plan together and make it work that way.
Yeah, and I think that gets into kind of a couple of our final questions. Let's say we
Mhm.
have someone that comes to you. What are the steps you go through to get them the VA aid and attendance? Because some people claim, oh, I could try it on my own, but then
Sure.
they pretty much get overwhelmed or they end up failing. So then that's why they end up coming to senior care associates. So do you mind going through the process real quick
Yeah.
of what you guys do?
Absolutely. So when people typically call, I take that call and I answer quite a few questions to determine whether they're eligible for this or not. One of the questions will be, did you serve active duty during wartime, and do you have a copy of your military document showing a date of enlistment or date of discharge? During Korea and Vietnam, that document's called a DD 214. And so on that document, it tells us all about, when they enlisted, when they are discharged, if they earned any medals or anything like that. So we have to verify that to make sure, because you cannot get this unless you served active duty during wartime. The other areas we look at is, are you in need of care, or are you still fairly independent? Are you going to go to independent living in that case? The other area that we look at is we have to show that care is being provided. So again, that can be family, home care, independent living, assisted living. We also verify income. And so income can be from Social Security, pension, retirements. It can be rental income. Maybe you're getting some income off an annuity. So anywhere you're getting income, that has to be verified. And there is not a cap on income, but there is a rule on income. And I'm not going to go into that right now. The other area that we look at is cash assets. That's going to be money in your checking, savings, CDs, investments, IRAs, things like that. The VA allow you to have 150,000 in cash assets. That excludes your home, which does not count as an asset unless you sell the home. Then that's a different story. So those are the main areas that I look at. If I determine that everything looks pretty good, then I ask for documents and I give them options on how to send those over to us. And then we have Carol get on the phone to review the documents with her. And then she determines whether we're going to go on from that point. So that's pretty much how we try to handle that. So,
I think I have two final questions to kind of wrap
sure.
up One of them came up in just your comments there, talking about the home. Let's say they are moving to assisted living, independent living, memory care, and they have
Mhm.
a home. Do you think they
Right.
should sell the home? And if they do, what do you recommend people do if they sell the home to make sure they can still get the VA benefit?
There's two options, and I'm trying to make this as simple as I can. The first option is they just sell their home. Let's say they're over the $150,000 threshold, which is pretty typical in today's market. So let's say they get 300,000. Well, that pretty much puts them out of the ballpark and getting aid and attendance. Um, they do have some rules which are important to know. They have a 3-year look back period, and that is if you were to move money into a trust, move it into an annuity, or gift the money to, let's say, family members, then you would have to wait 3 years before you could apply for aid and attendance. So that's one option. The second option is you can actually move the house into a property trust. And we have an attorney here in Utah that we use. That doesn't mean other attorneys can't do this, but it's a property trust that you move the house out of their name, maybe put it into a son or daughter's name, move it into the property trust. They will still have access to those funds, but those funds are not considered their asset because it was taken care of before the house was sold. So it is a way of a little bit of strategy there. It's legal. We handle it through an attorney, and he's worked with us for 13 years. He knows what we do, we know what he does, and it works very well together. So that's pretty much how that would work.
Yeah, and you mentioned people could use another attorney because this isn't limited to just Utah. You serve
No,
the entire country, correct?
it's a federal pension. We do this all over the country, a lot of word of mouth. A lot of our prior clients have told other family members or colleagues or maybe somebody in their church or somebody. And a lot of our clients have referred people over to us. We work with a lot of assisted living, some here in Utah, but a lot outside of Utah, independent livings as well, home care agencies. Anybody that needs it, we're happy to help them with it.
Wonderful. So I think just to wrap up, I mean,
Mhm.
what final thoughts do you have? Anything else you'd like to share? Maybe you mentioned how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, we have two numbers, and I'll kind of show you this on my brochure here. Uh, Local number is 801-424-1444. And then I'll have to look at the toll free is 877-424-1333. You can also go to our website, which is seniorcareassociates.com. And there's lots of good information on there. You can reach out to me through our website. There's a question answer, put your information in. I'll get back with you on that. So that's pretty much how you get a hold of us.
Wonderful. Yeah, and of course, this is going to be on YouTube. We'll put all that into the description and also the pinned comment below this video. And really, wherever you watch this, reach out to Dennis if you've got some clients that are looking for this sort of help, or family or friends. I mean, honestly, you might have someone in your own family that needs this service. That's pretty much it for our interview. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
You know, just if guys, again, they provide really the best service in the country, because navigating this on your own, the VA, I would not advise. Just like I wouldn't file taxes on my own. I get a certified public accountant. You need to go to Senior Care Associates if you want to get this money that the federal government has set aside for our veterans and their surviving spouses that served during wartime. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any thoughts or comments, please comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.